guys, welcome back to Rave Culture Cast, your weekly guide to the EDM community, music festivals, and more. I'm your host, Emma Capotis. Happy Season 7, fam. This is like my official introduction to kick off this season, but I hope you guys have enjoyed the episodes we've put out so far. It's been crazy having guests like Dioro and Side Piece, who are like some of my favorite artists and some of the biggest artists in dance music. So we are coming in hot the 7th season. Took a little break for summer, which was great. We're going to get into all the life updates and everything like that. But if you are tuning in today, you picked a good one. So today I'm really going to be spilling the tea on all things related to being a content creator or influencer in the EDM and festival space. This is something I wanted to cover for a very long time. I have over 7 years of knowledge on this topic now. I have been through it. I've experienced so many different things, and I believe in being an open book and a resource for anyone out there who is a content creator or is an aspiring influencer. If you guys want to get into this space, I basically am going to be spilling all the tea. I asked you guys what you want to know from me. I got so many questions, so I'm going to be addressing all of that in today's episode. I'm going to be chatting brand deals, job opportunities, collaborations, tips and tricks, and overall how to deal with the stress of having a full-time job, a life, a relationship, and being a content creator on this side. So with all that being said, sit back, grab a snack, grab a drink, wherever you're watching or listening to this, buckle up. It's going to be a good one. But of course, before we dive in, I want to share a word from one of our sponsors, Loop Earplugs, which guys, I just got my brand new Loop Earplugs. This is from the Sublime collection. Let me just show you how gorgeous this is. This is the new collection. It's 90s inspired, so it's kind of like throwback vibes. I love the coloring. This one's called Sugar Plum. So it's this beautiful purple packaging with like the little neon orange. They've been like leaning into the 90s a lot lately, and I absolutely love it. These are the Experience 2 earplugs, which in particular are my favorite. They come with this little carrying case, which again, loving the little 90s vibes. Look at the coloring of this though. It's this like really pretty like metallic like raspberry color almost, like really, really stunning. I love these. So if you guys don't know, Loop earplugs are my go-to earplugs for all festivals, raves, concerts, basically anywhere. I carry this little carrying case in all of my bags on the go, so I never forget them. But the reason I like the Experience 2 ones is because they're particularly made for concert goers. So they filter the noise by 17 decibels, so you can still hear the music clearly. It still sounds good. It just filters out the noise to protect your hearing. I also like Loops just because they are made to be seen versus like other earplugs I would wear in the past. Like I didn't really care what they looked like. These are meant to stand out. You can see them in your ear. So I have all different colors, but this Sublime collection is dropping on September 3rd. So if you guys want to grab it and you want to use my discount code, I'm going to leave all of that link down below along with my affiliate link. Thank you guys so much for supporting me and supporting Loop earplugs. Again, Experience 2 earplugs I highly recommend for my ravers and festival goers. These are headbang proof. They're shuffling proof. They're not going to fall out of your ears. They're absolutely amazing. So just wanted to recommend them because I absolutely love Loop earplugs and the Sublime collection dropping September 3rd. All right, with all that being said, let's dive into today's episode. So before the Q&A, I just wanted to catch you up a little bit since we did take a break from this summer. Just wanted to let you guys know what's been going on in my life, what is in store for this season. So honestly, I definitely needed a mental health break this summer. Where I'm at now in my life is completely different from where I used to be. So whether you're a new listener, you've been here, you might know my story a little bit better. But I started this podcast in April 2019. We're on the 7th season, which is freaking crazy. It takes the most time and effort and energy and love to make a podcast. If you know, you know. But I just feel like we've been able to discover and explore so many topics in this community. And this podcast really is like for the community. I always wanted to cover topics that make sense to you, that celebrate what this community is about, whether it's like festival tips and advice or stories from you guys or artists or, industry professional interviews, anything that's going to educate you on this scene so you can learn a little bit more about it, because that's how I felt. I started with literally zero experience, which we're going to get into today, and just kind of like dove headfirst in myself and learned as much as I could, and then got job opportunities, and then this podcast led into like insane interviews, and then I was booked to do Insomniac interviews. Like, it's just crazy how this has like spiraled. So again, needless to say, I came from zero. So I hope that this podcast gives you more and more information on, this industry. But yeah, so I took a break over summer. It was a crazy summer. My son turned 1 on August 11th, which is really exciting. So we had his first birthday this summer. I work for Beatbox Beverages, if you guys didn't know, which is one of like the biggest, alcohol sponsors in the festival space. So it's kind of like melds my two worlds together. It's amazing. I'm the senior community manager there. So I get to do all the freaking fun things that involve our fans and our consumers. So I've been with Beatbox now a little over 2 years and I'm full time. So that has obviously changed, the amount of time I have to dedicate to content creation in this podcast. Plus being a mom now for a year, like we're in a rhythm, we're in a flow, but he is my priority. So a lot of my free time obviously goes to spending time with him. And then we went on a family vacation this August. So it was really good. August was just a crazy month. I hope you guys ended your summers on a high note and had a lot of fun. Maybe you got to travel or go to festivals, but I do really, really hope you enjoyed your summers. September, let's talk a little bit about what's coming up. I want to tell you guys what events I'll be at this fall as well, because I took a festival break after EDC Vegas. That was my last festival. Purposefully and because I had so much work travel this summer. So a couple things. So September is gonna be really fun. I have a friend's wedding. We have so many family birthdays in September, but I am going to my first Red Rocks show, which I'm very, very, very excited about. I will be vlogging it, and I'm planning to do an episode post Red Rocks because I've never talked about it on the podcast. So I figured I could give you guys a vlog and a review of what I thought of Red Rocks, but I'm going to see the Seven Lions show, obviously, on September 27th. So if you're going to be there and you see me, please say hi. I always knew I would probably go to Red Rocks for either Seven Lions, Above and Beyond, Lane 8, or Dom Dalla. It was always going to be one of those, and it just kind of aligned perfectly. And we were like, no, we're booking it, we're going. I've never been to Colorado or Denver, so we're just doing a little 2.5 day trip out there. So it's short and sweet, but it's gonna be really fun. So that's what I have for September. October right now, I'm leaving open. I do have a work trip with Beatbox to Scottsdale, Arizona. So that will be really cool. So that's kind of my only thing in October. We'll see about Halloween. Usually there's really good Halloween shows here in New York City. So I'll do a Halloween show here. And then November is still up in the air, you guys. Okay, I'm going very, very back and forth, but I'm 99.99999% committed to Seismic Dance Event. I'm looking at working that for the podcast. It's been on my radar for a really long time. It's a very big, well, not very big, but it is in the United States for house and techno. It has really, really grown into kind of a staple for that. My best friend, Vibe with Aid, lives in Austin. She loves Seismic Dance Event, and I've always wanted to go out to Austin for that. So I think I'm going to be doing a Seismic Dance Event. And then what's up in the air is EDC Orlando. I've just been back and forth about going because it would be back-to-back weekends. So right now it's just deciding if I can handle that, obviously with my son, and figuring out coverage for that. But if I can, I would love to come out for at least 2 days of EDCO. So I will keep you posted. I would love to make it happen. I just need to figure that out. So that's a long recap to get this podcast started, but I just wanted to catch you guys up on everything that's been going on since haven't seen you guys or chatted with you guys. But yeah, hopefully you have some really fun things planned. I know we got Lost Lands coming up. That's a big one. Nocturnal Wonderland, all the Halloween fests. So more content to come on all of that. But let's dive into your questions here because you guys had a lot of questions. So I broke this down by category based on what you guys submitted. So the different categories I'm going to go through as far as being an EDM content creator. I'm going to talk about getting started. So actually how to begin as a content creator, how to get your foot in the door. Then I'm going to talk about job opportunities because that came up a few times. There were a lot of questions about the downsides of being an influencer or content creator and the stress, the overwhelm. So I do have a whole section about kind of the positives and the negatives. Content and brand deals will be the last section because a lot of you guys are curious about collaborations, how to get brand deals, how to monetize, all that. So that is everything we're going over today. But let's kick things off from the beginning, which is how to get started. A lot of people just want to know, I want to do this. Where do I begin to even get my foot in the door at being a content creator or an influencer in the EDM and festival space? So I know it's going to sound simple and I'm going to make it as easy as it sounds, but you just need to start posting. Whether you start posting on your own page you currently have or you create a new page, it's up to you. For me personally, I used my personal name, Emma Capotis. I didn't change anything. It was my personal page. And I just figured, this is what I'm passionate about. I'm going to start posting. And I did a little bit of everything in the beginning. I did makeup. I was sharing some health and fitness. And then I was sharing vlogs and festival makeup and tips and advice for EDC and for Ultra. And I just blended it all together because it was all the different sides of my personality. And I just felt like if somebody unfollows me from like my personal life, I don't really care because I'm trying to cultivate this community and my people will come to me. So I wouldn't really stress about like, am I going to lose current followers? Like if you're committed to this and this is what you want to do, you're going to cultivate your community. So just start posting where you want to go, start posting what your future community would want to see from you. That's kind of how I always looked at it. So you can honestly just start with your phone. Don't go crazy. I did not invest in equipment for like 2 years into my YouTube journey. I filmed all my YouTube videos for 2 years on my iPhone 6. So it is 100% possible. You can do that. Podcasting is different. You could honestly record with like a $40 microphone on Amazon. I have one of those. You could record on your phone mic. Like there's a million things. You don't have to buy a crazy expensive microphone or anything. So start with what you have. If the only thing I would say you could definitely invest in is like a little ring light tripod for your phone. Those are like $40 or less on Amazon. I would probably just say like maybe get that to start just so that you have that lighting for you. But other than that, you can use natural lighting. I used to sit in front of a window and that's how I would film my YouTube videos on my iPhone. So don't let an excuse of like, I don't have the funds or blah, blah, blah. Like you can film with what you have. And then I would just say again, like think about the content you enjoy watching, the content that your community would enjoy. So it depends on like what you want. If you are into like festival makeup, for example, start filming tutorials, start sharing what products you like. What are you packing with you in your bag? What brands do you like to use? Maybe you're going to do a review of a product. Like think about all the different categories and video ideas, and start a list. I track things on Google Sheets. That's just what I've always used, but there's so many other platforms you can track your ideas. You could just use your notepad on your phone, but start writing down ideas and brainstorming. You can also brainstorm on different platforms. So you can search things like in the TikTok search bar, search festival makeup and see what that populates, because whatever people are searching, they're looking for videos about. So you can literally use that as like a brainstorming session and just like see what people are searching and make videos about it. That's how I grew my YouTube channel. I was literally looking in like Facebook groups. I was looking in the search bar. I was Googling like EDC Las Vegas questions, EDC Las Vegas survival guide, and like seeing all the questions people were asking about EDC. And then I literally went and made videos for all of the questions they were asking. And that's how my channel grew. So that's just like some food for thought about how to start. And then you just got to post. You just got to post. You got to put yourself out there. The first few videos and posts are going to be crap. And then they get better over time and you get more comfortable over time and you build your presence. Like I wasn't like so fluent and bubbly and talking in person. Like my energy on camera like picked up over the years, but like you will get better as you go. So you just like have to get over the mental hurdle of starting and just post. So some people asked, is it hard to become a creator in this scene? It's not hard to become a creator. Again, it's as easy as just putting yourself out there and starting, and then you will make connections. You will, if you're interacting with other people and you're giving good energy to them and commenting on people's posts and engaging, like you're going to see that energy start to come back to you. So no, it is not hard to become like I said, I came from zero experience. I was no background, no connections, no networking, absolutely nothing in this industry. I just started posting and literally like built up friends and friendships. And some of my best friends to this day are literally people I met online, like other online creators. So it's not hard to become a creator in the scene. You literally just have to put yourself out there and try. Somebody asked, how long did it take for you to start seeing growth? So personally, again, I started with YouTube. That's where I put my energy in the beginning. And I would say it took me about like 2 years. Now I did see little by little like growth, but I would say if I started posting in 2017, 2019 was a very pivotal year for me personally. But like there was growth in 2018, and then 2019 it started to pick up. I started to get collaborations. I made, a lot more friends. So within those first 2 years, definitely. And then I really went in on Instagram and TikTok probably around like COVID. So 2020 is when I like went all in on that. And I did see growth faster on those platforms just because YouTube is a lot more to produce and be consistent with than short form content. So it really, really depends. Like you could get lucky and have some of your videos like hit really big on TikTok. You never know, but you just got to be consistent. So if I were to start over, I would probably go all in on TikTok or Instagram to begin, but YouTube will always be my passion. I love YouTube. I think I've cultivated the like most close-knit community on YouTube and this podcast, because long form just hits different. But yeah, for me personally, I started to see like significant growth within 2 years of starting my YouTube channel. And again, somebody asked how to get your foot in the door. Again, just putting yourself out there, and I think just interacting within the community. So like being in Facebook groups, whatever you want to be on, like Reddit, Radiate, Instagram, like I would just start posting and then start connecting with other people. So really comment, engage. We appreciate that as creators. So like, again, what you give out there, you're going to get back to you. So getting your foot in the door is just trying to form genuine relationships, I would say. Which leads me to my next topic, job opportunities. So a lot of you guys are very curious about getting a job in the EDM or festival space. So I can quickly touch on my experience with that, because I don't think there is a one size fits all, and it is completely dependent upon your skill set and what you're interested in doing. So for me personally, I had a full-time job completely unrelated to this space, like absolutely nothing to do with this. I was a graphic designer by trade. So I personally had a full-time job. I was working in Manhattan, and then I started the YouTube channel on the side, and obviously was like just going to raves and festivals as my hobby. So I definitely recommend that. Obviously, like start this on the side with whatever you're doing. So I did that for a while, and then obviously COVID happened, and I just was really, really unhappy at my position. So I just started to figure out a way to, you know, maybe freelance or do something in this industry, because at that point I knew I wanted to do this. I was a couple years into my channel at that point, like I think 4 years in. And I had like made some connections, and my platform was growing. So for me personally, I went the freelancing route at that point. I ended up connecting with a company called Gray Area. They're a platform that helps people discover house music. They also produce a ton of shows, a lot in New York City, which was, you know, where I'm around. I'm in New Jersey. So at that point, I was able to figure out a freelancing opportunity with them, and I was helping them with their socials. And then I also became a social media coach at the time. Again, completely out of left field, but I was able to quit my full-time job, and I combined the income of being a social media coach and then freelancing for this house music platform / event production company. So at that point, I was able to like have my first real like role in the dance music industry, and that taught me so much. And I had a lot of opportunities come out of like working with Gray Area. And then I personally found that I did not like the freelancing route, because I obviously didn't have benefits or anything like that. And with coaching, with doing that, you're constantly on, you're constantly trying to find ways to monetize. So for me personally, I started to look for full-time opportunities again, so that I could just go back to like enjoying this on the side for fun. And that's where Beatbox entered the picture. I feel like I manifested this position because I freaking love Beatbox. It was all I would drink at music festivals. And I ended up making content for them, because I was just like, guys, again, this is why I say just put yourself out there and start filming videos, because you literally never know where an opportunity will come from. But I literally just started posting beatbox videos on my account, and one of them like hit 500,000 views and went viral, and that obviously caught the attention. And so Beatbox ended up coming to me, and they paid me on the monthly basis to make TikToks like on my own account. So I was essentially like a UGC creator. Did I make them for their account? They might have used them on their account too, actually. So then that got my foot in the door with Beatbox, and again, just doing that on the side. And then eventually they had a part-time social media position up on their site, and I just shot my shot, because I had, you know, connected with the team, and they were like, fuck yes, please apply. This is awesome. And then at that point, I, again, like ended up quitting my job with Gray Area, and then I moved over to Beatbox, and this was also part-time again. And then I was just doing my stuff on the side. I was doing my content creation, I was doing my coaching, and then eventually, like, it literally was only a couple months into that I was like, I fucking love Beatbox. This company is amazing. I want to work for them full time. And then we basically like created this community manager position for me full time. So that's the story of how that happened. So again, my job is interesting because it is technically in the festival space. Like I do work on a lot of stuff related to festivals and dance music, and I work with DJs and things like that. So for me, this is kind of like the best of both worlds. But that is just literally one example. However, I share all of that because I would not have been there without all of these building blocks of like, if I hadn't put myself out there on social media, I never would have grown my platform. I never would have, built a social media following, which like that was my portfolio. I didn't even really like have a portfolio or like a resume anymore. Like by the time I applied for Gray Area, I literally was just using like my social media presence as like proof of what I could do for this company. And so like that's why it's important to build all this up and make like these connections. On top of that, the podcast also caught a lot of attention, obviously. So with Gray Area, like I ended up like interviewing my boss at the time on the podcast. So like I networked so much through the podcast, and you can network through your social media as well, but that helped tremendously. So again, just like networking, making connections, you guys, like putting yourself out there, creating whatever it is. You don't have to create a podcast, but creating a series, like whatever it is that you guys want to create. And then again, the social media posts led me to Beatbox and so on and so forth. So on and so forth. And again, the podcast was also on my portfolio for landing the position with Insomniac Events, which they came to me and asked me to host the EDC Las Vegas live stream in 2022 because they found my podcast and saw all my interviews. So all of this is to say, if you don't put yourself out there and if you don't start just creating, then you're holding yourself back from all these opportunities. I've heard this quote so many times, and I always think it's so true. Like, for you, like when your head is down and you're working and day to day, you feel like nobody's noticing, or maybe you just get in a rhythm and you're like, okay, nothing's happening. Like so many things could be happening for you behind the scenes that are just like building and building and building. And then like one day you'll get like a message or an opportunity or a brand deal or whatever it is. And it's like, people are watching you. People are seeing your stuff eventually. So it just may not be the right time. So that's the other thing. I'm just like, you just never know what rooms your name is being thrown around in until it's time. So just wanted to put that out there as well. But okay, so bringing that back to you guys, there are so many full-time opportunities. I have the episode after this is actually a great one. I have Jamie Sloan coming on, who is an incredible PR maven. She is I believe the global director of communications for Ultra Music Festival, and she has some great tips and advice for getting your foot in the door. But again, volunteering, interning, whatever your skill set is, like help it. There's so many small pages, there's so many raveware brands, like whatever it is, if you can like volunteer your time in any way, or offer like a couple hours a week to help a company, you can write, like whatever it might be. There's just so many different ways to kind of just like get your foot in the door, and networking in your local market as well. If you happen to be in a bigger city like LA, Miami, New York, anywhere in Texas, Chicago, there's so many different opportunities to like go out and network and meet people. So be present in your local scene as well and make connections that way. All right, I hope this is helpful for you guys so far. One other question I got about this was, are there any good agencies in the EDM community? So yes, there's so many different agencies. There's a million different labels. There really are so many different ways you could go about getting into this field. I feel like if you are also on like the content creator influencer side of things, if that's what you're interested in, there are also so many pages that need help creating content. Like for me personally, we had the contributor program this past year where I brought on like 12 different creators who, from beginner to like more advanced. And that was an opportunity just for like us to work together and them to get like their face on the Rave Culture Cast page. So, and again, a lot of people apply, but it was also just people I saw posting in the community that I was like, they're really good, and I don't even think they know how good they are yet. So, yeah, there's so many different EDM festival related pages that like might need help or may need content creation or anything like that. So plenty of ways to get your name out there. But this next section I want to talk about, this is kind of like the downsides, or some like the maybe not as positive. I'm going to always spin things in a positive way for you guys, but a lot of people just had a lot of questions on like the overwhelming parts of this industry. So one of the questions I got was, how chaotic is it, and do you find it overwhelming? So again, this is completely up to you and your personality. I am a naturally anxious person, and again, where I'm at in my life now with how much I have on my plate compared to when I started. Like when I started, I was like single. I was at a job I didn't really like. So like I was pouring all my time and energy into this, and that's when I was like really in my hustle phase. But it's as overwhelming as you want it to be. Like you can get started and just film when you can find time. If you're not completely strapped with like a full-time job and a million other things on your plate, like try to find the time, even if you can like batch film on the weekend and dedicate like 2 hours or whatnot to just like getting a ton of filming out of the way. that's awesome. But really just like try and fit it in with your life, like where you can. Like right now, my son is literally napping. I was like, told my hubby, I was like, I need an hour to film this podcast. Like, I just need to get this done. And he was like, bed, got you. And it's nap time. That's why I'm filming this right now. But chaotic and things like that, I really don't think it's chaotic. I've had a lot of fun doing this, but again, I think the pressure comes from yourself a lot of the times. So try to relieve that pressure as much as you can and just do your best and post when you can and just start and then get more consistent. Consistency is everything. I've always said that with my platform this entire time. Consistency is everything. That is going to compound over time. So just don't post once and then disappear from the face of the earth for a month. Like, be consistent with your posting. Somebody asked, are there any downsides to being an EDM influencer? I think there can always be positives and negatives to any industry. But in this one particular, I think it's just your attitude and your outlook on this. Again, this is a fun, creative outlet for me. I've met some of my best friends through this space. I've had opportunities come through this space. I think the downsides for me were, again, like the pressure I was putting on myself to pump out content and always be on and like not take that much of a break and try to be the first to like put something out. That's when I was in that like hustle phase, and I just was like, we always got to be creating. Now I'm like way more chilled out about that. But I think it's just not letting yourself get caught up in unnecessary drama or putting too much pressure on yourself. Like, don't lose the fun in it is what I would say. Like, think about your community, who you're trying to cultivate, who you're trying to reach, have fun with it, talk about the topics you want to talk about, and just try and enjoy yourself. This is fun. Our community is fun and inclusive and positive. So like, try and focus on those things about it, and like, don't put the blinders on and don't worry about anything else. Mind your business. That's what I always say to myself. Another question I got, is it more of a who you know more than a what you know in this industry? I would definitely say it is a little bit of both. Again, for me getting started, I really so beginner. If you go back and watch my early videos, it's like comical to me now, but I just used my own experiences and spoke from that. So you have your own experiences that are unique to you. That's what you can share. Those are the tips and advice you can share, or whatever skill set you have. So definitely share that, share your life, share your personality, and the who you know will come. I think, again, like, don't let that deter you from starting, because we all start from, nowhere really. So don't let that deter you. And then I think over time, again, you'll make genuine connections and relationships, and you'll meet people and you'll network, and that will all grow. And I think that helps later down the line, because I feel like now I've met so many amazing people who I can reach out to and like connect those dots. Or if I'm like, oh, I think media would be like, I would love to go get media at this festival. Oh, well, I've met X, Y, and Z, and they work for this company, and they could probably get my name out there or give me the name of someone. So eventually I think the who you know helps, but it's how you connect with people. It's how you treat people. It's how you present yourself. Like, that's all really, really important. So be a genuine person. Another question I got is, how is the mental/emotional toll of being an influencer? Again, for me personally, I think it came in waves, because of having a full-time job and doing this on the side. That's where the stress would come in, is like where to fit this all in. And I have personally had to take measures with my mindset to just like relieve the pressure I put on myself, because it got really bad, and I was working 7 days a week, and I was working till I went to sleep every single night, and it was just like nonstop, and I'm not in that headspace anymore. So there can be a mental and emotional toll if you're putting that pressure on yourself or comparing yourself to others. That is something you really have to work on letting go as well, because you are here to put yourself online, put your personality. You're going to find your people that you connect with. You don't need to worry about what somebody else is doing or how they're presenting themselves or what their ideas are. Like, really, really, I've had to train myself to like, put your blinders on. Don't worry about what anybody else is doing. Like, your progress is your progress. You're going to do things on your own time. It's not really concerning if somebody else pops up and they do something similar to you. Like, I've really just tried to focus on, improving yourself and educating yourself and getting better. So the toll really can just come from what's on your plate and, how much time you're dedicating to this and things like that. Okay, we did get a question about drama in the content creator world. You guys just really wanted to know about drama in the content EDM space, and if it's easy to stay away from it. My answer to this is probably going to be pretty simple. Yes, it is. You can easily stay out of it and mind your business. If it has absolutely nothing to do with you, then I wouldn't even get involved. That's how I personally put myself out there. I have always felt that like my platforms are going to be a positive, inclusive space. I believe in constructive criticism, especially when I do like festival and event reviews and things like that. Like I think it's important to share your honest thoughts and opinions without like, I'm never going to shit on a festival or like be really disparaging to them. I'm always going to come at it from like a, this is what you could do better kind of attitude. I also really believe in having conversations and like seeing both sides of something. I do not believe in airing things out in public. That's just not how I handle myself. Putting things in writing and things like that, I think you can just get yourself in trouble. I also feel grateful that I became a content creator in my late 20s because I just feel like if I had become a content creator when I was like 18 or something like that, I feel like you're easily baited into drama versus now it's like I have too much going on in my life. I got my family, I got my job, like I'm just not worried about that. And it makes me sad when I see things like blow up online about our community because like we are such a small community in the scheme of like what's out there. There's so many people who don't even know about raves and festivals or care. Like we are so niche when you really think about it. So I try to just focus on the positive, keep it positive, mind my business, focus on the good people, the people who fill my cup. And I'm a big believer in karma. So I really do believe like what you're putting out there are going to get back to you. So that's how I've always looked at it. So yes, it is very easy to stay away from it. You don't have to feed into it all. You don't have to comment in it. You don't have to write comments. You don't have to respond to anything. And if something comes up, have a private conversation with somebody. That's personally how I've always dealt with things. So yes, it is very possible. I'm also sitting here in New Jersey. So I feel like I'm always like so removed. Like I don't live in an area where like I'm regularly, like I don't really run into other content creators. I have a couple of my friends here in like New York City, but like I'm not in an area where I'm like bumping into content creators all the time. It's like literally just when we're at festivals together. So I also feel like I'm like in my own bubble, in my own world at home. But with that being said, I'm going to take a super quick break here. Again, I hope I'm on a roll right now. This was a fun episode to do. I like doing Q&As with you guys. But really quickly, I wanted to plug some tickets that I am selling this year. We've got a lot coming up for fall. So if you guys need any of these Insomniac tickets, I am an affiliate, so I will leave them linked down below. But right now I'm selling for 3 Points Miami, which is going to be a really good one. That lineup is amazing. So 3 Points Miami. I have your EDC Orlando tickets. Thank you guys for purchasing through me. Again, I'm going to hopefully be out there with you guys this year. I have Escape tickets and I have Dream State as well. So all 4 of those festivals I am selling for. Very much appreciate you guys purchasing through me, and stay tuned for some content on all of those festivals. All right, let's get back into the questions. The next question I got was from one Pisces to another. How are the vibes in both the rave industry and the influencer world? Shout out to all my Pisces. We are sensitive, empathetic bitches. So the vibes, again, I think the vibes are what you make it, and it's who you surround yourself with. I don't know. I'm very, very intuitive, so I think you can probably feel the same. I think you can pick up on vibes, and I think having those in-person connections is important as well. But I think you just find the people that you jive with and, you know, stay in touch with them. And again, you put good out there, you'll get good back to you. So yeah, I don't know. I've had really amazing connections. That's why a lot of the brands I work with as well, like I've worked with them for years. So when I make a good connection, or if I like really resonate with a business owner or somebody who works in this industry or another creator, I feel like I've kept my circle tight and we've all like really grown amazing relationships. So I think you just gotta find the people that you vibe best with, and just treat people the way you want to be treated. That's what my mom always drilled in my head. So I'm always going to be the same online as I am in person. Always going to make time for people. And if I ever meet anybody that I'm like, I don't get the best vibes from them, or like I just don't think we're going to jive, I keep it short and sweet, and that's it, right? Somebody said, does it bug you when people say that influencing isn't a real job? I feel like I don't see that many people say that anymore. And if that's their thought, like that's their belief, they can believe that. But there are people out here making bank. Let me tell you, again, I work for an alcohol company. We pay content creators and influencers all the time, and they are doing very fucking well for themselves. So it is very much a real job, and people are very much making a lot of money doing it. So I'm not talking about myself necessarily. I'm talking about massive content creators online. It is very much a real job. I also think there's a movement right now. If like you guys haven't picked up on it, I feel like my TikTok literally looks like QVC these days. I don't know how to feel about it necessarily. I like seeing that anyone essentially can be an influencer with the introduction of TikTok Shop. Like you can literally go buy a product on TikTok Shop, make a video about it. It could go viral and you can make like really good money earning commission on it. So I do like that you can, again, just get started. Anybody could go make a video and do that right now. So I think that's a really interesting thing that's happening with influencer marketing. And I think like you can tell who's more genuine, and people who are making like real connections with their audience are the people that are going to end up being more successful. But it is for sure a real job. Like I feel like influencer marketing is its own category right now. And if you don't believe that, I don't know how, because it's just in your face all the time if you're on social media. So it is definitely a real thing. Which leads me to my last category here. This is general questions you guys had about content creation and brand deals. Somebody asked me, how do you promote sober raving without seeming judgmental? So I can tell you right now, I did my one episode on this podcast about how my experience was when I was sober, when I was pregnant, because I went to a couple festivals and raves, obviously when I was pregnant, and it was very eye-opening. I will say that. I am no longer sober. I do drink. I work for an alcohol company, but even some of the comments I got on those clips I posted, I was like, people just get so like, I don't even know how to say it. People just get so like offended if you even mention that you're a sober raver, and that is a reflection of them. That has nothing to do with you. I just look at those comments and I'm like, you have some things to work on with yourself if you don't think that people can enjoy this music or going to events or festivals sober. People may have been through all different types of journeys. They have chosen to do that for a reason. Again, after being sober throughout that almost year, like you obviously feel a million times better. You're not dealing with a number of issues that come up when you're under the influence. So good on the people that choose to be sober, and that's like how they want to attend events. You really just have to block out the noise again, and just remember that is more a reflection of themselves judging you than anything you have to worry about. You're going to find your people. We have some amazing creators. Pearl CC, I'm going to plug her at Pearl CC, who is one of our Rave Culture Cast contributors, is a sober raver, and she did some awesome content for us on our social media pages. But yeah, I mean, I think if you're just speaking from your experience, I don't think it's going to come off in a judgmental way. Like you just have to share your authentic experiences and your reasoning for it and your why. And again, the right people are going to get attracted to you, and you just got to say like, you know, F the other people, because that's their own internal issues that they're having with it. But that's not a reflection of you, and that shouldn't deter you from creating that content, because there's plenty of people who do want to see that content. So that's what I would say about sober raving. The next person said, what's the best way, in your opinion, to work on collaborations in the rave space? And that it goes for brand deals versus influencer collaborations versus festival collaborations. So I'm going to break each of these down. So I would say for brand collaborations in the festival and EDM space, I would personally start by just creating that content on your own. If there is a brand you really, really love, purchase their products. That's first and foremost, and create content around it. That is literally what I did in the beginning of my page, and that's how I got almost all of the brand partnerships that I still have to this day, years later. I just was making content, and I was like in the outfits, or I was wearing them at festivals, and I was making the content, and I would tag the brands, and I would interact with the brands. I would DM with them. So I just like started those relationships, and I just believed in, you know, obviously going out there and purchasing the products because I love them, and I'm not going to promote a company if I haven't even used their products before. That doesn't make sense. So I would say that's probably the best way brand deals wise. Like look at what's in your closet, look what you use all the time, start there, post about them, tag them. And then I think that will, you know, eventually come down the line, and you could always work out partnerships where you're, you know, an affiliate, which means you get like a code or a link and you can earn commission, and then so on and so forth. Then you can work up to like paid brand deals and yada, yada. So I think that's just a great way to get your foot in the door, really be present, commenting on their posts, DMing with them, building those relationships, especially in the rave space. A lot of these are very small companies. some of them run by like 1 or 2 people. So those little interactions and engagements and like brand awareness help them so much. You guys have no idea. So I think that's just a really good way to go about it. I would also recommend getting on a phone call because I don't think a lot of people do this. When I would do my first few brand deals, I got on a phone call with the brand and I introduced myself and I met them to make sure we were like jiving. And I think that professionalism goes a really long way as well. So if there's a brand you freaking love and you're talking to them and like a collaboration pops up, I would be like, awesome, let's get on a Zoom call. Like, let's introduce ourselves, let's hang out, let's meet each other. Highly, highly recommend doing that. When it comes to influencer collaborations in this space, same kind of deal. I just think building up those genuine connections, like if you're seeing people online and you love their content and you like really get them and you feel like you guys would vibe, like interact with them, comment on their posts, share their posts, like reach out to them. So I just think like being genuine and building connections and relationships is really important there. And then if you're like flowing and you guys have built up a relationship, I think that's when you can start like pitching ideas to each other and say like, hey, maybe we can collaborate, maybe we can do a video together. If you're going to be in person together at a festival, you can say like, maybe we film something when we're together. So I would kind of like lean into that and see what feels like genuine and feels like comfortable on both ends. And then for festivals, I think festivals come a little bit down the line. Like when you guys have started to build up your profile, if you're starting to like grow your pages, you can always like reach out to a festival. You could apply for media, or there's a couple different agencies in this space now that didn't exist when I started, like the Festival Babes. So you could always reach out to a company like that or apply to be a part of their program. Some organizations too also have ambassador programs, like Disco Donnie has a really big ambassador program for all of their events. If you guys didn't know that, you can apply on their website. So that's a really good way to get in the door, an ambassador program. So there's a bunch of different ways. For me personally, festivals didn't come into the picture until my page had grown a lot more. And then I was starting to like pitch, making YouTube videos for them or like interviewing the festival organizer. So I've gone down that route. And then I would just make connections that way. And then like now, which is my dream, is like, I'll do a full content proposal for a festival and then they'll pay me to make content, to promote their event. So there's all different ways you can go about doing that. But I would say like if you're very, very beginner, I would probably go down the route of like an ambassador program. And again, with things like that, that's going to come down to you selling tickets for their event. That's what they're going to be looking at. That is the KPI they're going to have on you is this person selling tickets with their code or their link? So just make sure when you're signing up for these partnerships, that is something that you're going to be able to promote and be consistent with, because obviously if you're not selling tickets for an event, then they're not going to continue a partnership with you. So I would just make sure you're in a good place with like your audience and that feels authentic to you and you're not like pushing a random product or festival that wouldn't make sense for your audience. Somebody asked, do you ever get shady brand deals? How do you know when they're worth the time? Yes, 100%. I would say like 90% of the emails I get are maybe not shady, but just not, good quality partnerships. And those like you can usually just tell in the email, like your name isn't even in the title or it just says like dear at Emma Capotis, which means that was auto generated from my Instagram. If it's not a personalized note, that's strike number 1. I'm not even gonna open the email. And then number 2, if it like is a product or something I've never heard of, it doesn't make sense to me. I get pitched like weed partnerships all the time or like vaping pens and like I don't do any of that. So I'm just like, yeah, no, would not be authentic at all. So I think that's where you have to be discerning as a creator because, and when I started out, I did like partnerships. I was like, why did I do that? I got a free pair of sunglasses one time and I was like, this is great. Why the fuck did I do that? So like you're going to get baited sometimes into things like that. But yeah, you'll know it's not worth your time if it seems like a templated email, if it doesn't make sense for you, if like it seems sketchy. Always look at the email that it comes from. If it's not like a professional work email, like those are just like things that would set off red flags. How do you get a brand to take a chance on your potential? I love that question. I think with that, again, it's just what you're putting out there. I think like, what does your content show about you? Like if you're really connecting with your audience and you have really good engagement and you've been putting out videos that like make sense with the brands you're trying to attract to, I think they can just see that in your page. That's what they're going to be looking at, your engagement. Obviously your views like play into that a little bit, but I think just how you pitch yourself and how you connect with your audience is really important. And again, getting on a phone call. I think getting on a phone call and making it personal will help you a ton. The next person said, now that the IG algorithms have gone to hell, could not agree with you more. Tips on getting wider reach without posting 3 times a day. I'm really struggling with Instagram, you guys. My growth has plateaued for like months. Personally, I've been dealing with that. It like has not gone up at all. TikTok is a little bit different, but honestly, I just say stay consistent. Just don't get deterred by that. Don't get thrown off by that. Just keep putting your posts out there. And then I mean, there's a couple different things you can do. Obviously, creating content that's like really shareable. So whether that's relatable or funny, or it's like, what the fuck is this? And people are going to share it. If you can do collaboration posts, that's one of my favorite features on Instagram. I love doing collaboration posts. So if you can work with another brand or an influencer, that helps you get out to a new audience. So using that feature, I think, is really big. Getting on your IG stories and talking to your audience, connecting with your audience, answering your DMs. Like, I think those 3 things, so like shareability, collaboration, and engagement, are like 3 things I would personally focus on. What tips and tricks do you use to stay motivated and on top of scheduling content? So I think this is a journey for sure. I think this is going to come and go in waves depending on where you're at. And I think what I've leaned into now is there is going to be times where I'm very motivated and inspired, which is how I'm feeling right now. And there's going to be times where I like go through a lull, and I think it's just trying to stay consistent and kind of like taking advantage of the moments where you feel really motivated and inspired, like brainstorming, writing down those ideas, like content dumping, batch filming during that time. And then you'll have that content kind of to like sit on when you're like not feeling as good about it. You can use scheduling platforms. I've used the platform Later for a really long time. I think it's either free for a certain amount of posts, or you can do like the bare minimum plan, but that way you can like schedule out content. So that's what we use to schedule out the podcast clips. So that helps us like stay organized. And then I don't know, I really just get inspired by what I see out there. And I think building out a content calendar has helped me over the years as well. So kind of like looking at what's coming up and what people are talking about. And then again, like using my Google Sheet tracker to like jot down ideas like, okay, September's coming up. So people are going to be talking about Lost Lands or Nocturnal Wonderland. Halloween is coming into the picture. People are going to want Halloween, outfits and makeup. So kind of just like thinking a little bit ahead, getting a consistent flow of ideas, and then taking advantage of when you're feeling like really motivated and really pumped. What advice would you give to people that want to create content but are camera shy or awkward filming? So this kind of goes back to the beginning section. I would say you just have to practice and put yourself out there and just start filming, and it will get easier over time, just the more you do it. It's like with any other skill, any other practice, just start filming yourself and start posting it. And then you'll get better and better and better as you go, even if it takes like a couple takes. You can also dip your toes in. So I would say if you're like nervous about the first like video post, go on your IG stories. I'm challenging you right now. Talk on your IG stories this week a couple times this week. Just try that. It disappears after 24 hours. Don't be like, oh my God, why am I talking to my camera? Like, what are they going to think? Like, what are my followers going to think about this? Like, again, don't even worry about what other people think about it. Just get on your IG stories or your TikTok stories and just start talking. And I think that will help you build up to actually like sitting down and filming a video. But again, it's just you and the camera right now. Don't really think about who's going to see it or how many people are going to watch. I think that can get in your head. So just practice. Practice makes perfect. Okay, and my last question, you guys, do you have any go-to poses for pictures? How do you figure out which looks best on you? Okay, this is not my area of expertise. I feel like when I'm in person at a festival and I start taking my pictures, I just get a little awkward and I freeze up, especially if there's a lot of people around. But yes, at this point, I would say I have like a couple of my signature poses. I always do like my point to the camera pose. I always do like my hands up with my little peace sign, but I think that's just come from like taking pictures and then when I go to post, seeing what angles work best for my body. And then I've kind of like figured out what I like from like seeing what those look like. But I would take a variety. You could use like the 0.5 feature on your camera, which like obviously is a wider lens that shows a lot more. Take like all kinds of different angles, zoomed in at different levels. I like to do close-ups as well, especially if you're focusing on like the makeup or your outfit. Portrait mode always portrait mode. And I like to do like close-ups as well, so you can get like the details of a shot, and that's like a post in itself. Then I get the full outfit, then I could do the 0.5, and I get just like all different options for myself. And then the editing comes later if you want to put any like really cool like colors or features or like sparkles or whatever the fuck. But yeah, I would just say, like, you should see my camera roll. I'm picturing, like, Beyond Wonderland. We took, like, hundreds of photos. It was maybe not hundreds, but, like, 100 photos of, like, one outfit from every single different angle. So kind of just, like, studying yourself, looking at photos after. And then, honestly, I watched a lot of Tara O'Neill's videos. Go follow her. I absolutely love her. She made a whole video about posing, and I feel like I got a lot of my pose ideas from Tara. But, yeah, looking at your favorite content creators or influencers, like maybe save a couple of their poses that you really like to your like Instagram or something and put it in a little collection folder, and then try to mimic those poses and then see what feels the most natural and what looks the best on you. But you will work up to it. You're going to find your poses that you're going to freaking slay. Whew, you guys. Of course, I spoke for almost an hour. That was a doozy, but that was so much fun for me. If you couldn't already tell, I love this topic. I could talk about tips and advice for content creators for fucking ever. I was a social media coach for a while. This is literally what I did for people, so this felt like a coaching session. But I really hope this was valuable to you and that you learned something new. And just like the biggest piece of advice I could give you is like, just start posting. Put yourself out there, you guys. Like, if I am not a testament to this, I don't know what is. Like, if I did not start posting on my freaking YouTube channel where my head is cut off in half the videos, and I had like 2 years, however much experience, like, you can't let those things deter you. Speak from your experiences, be yourself online, put yourself out there. You're going to build friendships, you're going to build connections. You can pivot and see what works for you, and you just absolutely never know what opportunities can come from this. This community really is amazing, and I've met some of my best friends. I've worked with the most amazing brands, and there really are good people in this community, so just stay positive and focus on that part of it. But anyways, you guys, if you want to support the podcast, go check out my Loop earplugs, guys. My code is down below. The Sublime collection drops September 3rd. Definitely go check those out. Use my discount code or my affiliate link along with my Insomniac tickets. And just share these clips. If you guys see the reels or TikToks we post, if you could share those or comment, like all those little engagements and shares mean a ton for this podcast. So that's all you can do. You can connect with us at Rave Culture Cast on all the platforms, or at Emma Capotis on my personal platforms. And that's it. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of season 7. It's going to be really fun, and hopefully I'll see you at a festival this fall. Bye, guys.